everyone, I'm Sarah, Childhood Finds, and thank you for joining me here today. It has been my best sales week ever as a reseller, and I am so excited because now I have a new high that I can strive to meet because I'm still ready to keep growing. I will say that last week I did not do a lot of listing, but I did a lot of shipping. I have a lot of sales going out. I'm going to try to share quite a few of the good ones with you, but I'm not going to be able to get to everything. I had 105 sales this week, and that is across all 6 of my platforms, and I am so excited about that. I had over $4,100 in gross sales across those platforms. I had 86 sales on eBay, 3 on Poshmark, 1 on Facebook Marketplace locally, 12 on Etsy, 1 on Mercari, and 2 on Depop. And I had, just to give an idea of my cross listing, because this is the best I've ever done in cross listing in a week, is I had 19 sales that sold for my cross listed platforms, and that was $733 in item sales. That is amazing. That is why I've continued to keep cross listing even when it has not been good. You've seen it not be good. So it's just been an all around good week. I did get back from my trip and then I immediately got quite sick. That is why I did not list very much. I just was in survival mode. I worked on my social media and I shipped. And I did a little bit of listing. I will tell you what I listed. I listed 22 items, and that totaled out to $553 in item value. So not my best week, but it is kind of exciting to see the active listings in my store going down. I'm down to about 2,200 now, which every sale I can get is one less thing I have to deal with when I do my inventory in January, because my goal is to completely revamp and make my system what I truly need it to be so that I can come back full force in spring during sourcing season. And so even though I was sick, I still worked on some of my goals that I set forth in some previous videos. And so that was definitely on my social media I worked on. I have grown a lot on my TikTok and I'm still slowly growing on Facebook. So there's progress all around, guys. And so I have no complaints. And I'm getting back to listing and continuing to work this week. I will be allowing myself, making myself, I should say, take some days off for the holiday and some other days off personally in the next coming weeks. So I'm going to work hard so that I can actually make myself take those off. So let's go ahead and just start with some sales, guys. I did want to say I ordered yet again another microphone because I cannot find the perfect microphone for these videos because my last video was just not great, but I didn't feel good and I was not going to re-record it. So hopefully someday I'll find the magic touch with microphones. But let's start with some sales. This is a Super Mario All-Star Collection. This is Baby Rosalina. It sold for 10% off of this, around $22-ish. This is Old Times on the Mississippi by Mark Twain. It was a first edition, and it sold for $99.95. It was in pretty decent condition. The spine, you could tell, had just sat on probably a bookshelf in sunlight. This is a brass parrot bird on perch stand figurine, and this sold for $24.95. I have decided if I get to the point, where I am totally financially stable and I can ever buy a house, I'm going to start collecting my brass stuff because I just love it so much. So there's my goal in the future. This is an Erdl International Harvester Scout with horse trailer. Reed was, I think some of the stickers were peeling slightly. This sold for $74.95. I got this at an estate sale for around $5-ish. And I did want to talk about some of these sales. So I noticed because of this holiday season especially, I had a ton of zero feedback buyers. I know there are a lot of eBay sellers and a lot of people that say they do not ever want to sell to people that don't have any feedback, but a lot of those are accounts that are made to buy gifts. And I, knock on wood, I really don't have that many issues on eBay. So I never hesitate really when it's zero feedback. Yes, sometimes I get a little nervous when it's a really high dollar item, but I just take steps to protect myself. So I would not scare yourself off of selling to feedback or to buyers that don't have high feedback or no feedback. A lot of times they just searched the item, found it, made an account so they could buy it. But that sold for $75. This next one is a pewter belt buckle, Western skeleton, skull, snake, floral, enamel vintage. This one sold for $20. I wanted to show this one because it was not branded in any way. I just described it and took pictures, and it's still sold. This is a Revel NASCAR Budweiser 2006 Chevy Monte Carlo model kit. I had two of these. This one sold for $32.95, and I think the other one sold on a 10% off offer. Those I got from one of my local sources here. This is a Family Feud board game, 3rd edition. I paid $3 at an estate sale. It was new with some condition issues to the seal. I just put that in the description and took pictures, and it sold for $22, though within a week of listing it. This is a bergamot brass silver skull enamel cowboy hat belt buckle. This one really did surprise me that it sold for $44.95. I was not expecting this to sell for so much because you just never know with these belt buckles. I will say it is going to be such a sad day the day I finally list the last belt buckle. That's kind of my goal for this end of the year, is to list the rest of the belt buckles, because one of my things I want to start doing is when I buy a bunch of stuff, I don't want to keep picking and choosing out of it, because that's why I have a horrible death pile. So I'm going to start when I buy lots or buy just etc., a bunch of different stuff. Then I'm going to start trying to list all of it just as I go through it instead of picking and choosing, because I still have decent items. And so I'm going to try to get through all the belt buckles in the next week or two. This is a 1983 starting a short line, and this sold for $30 on a best offer. This, I was kind of surprised. I didn't know when I picked this up if it would sell. I got this at a local estate sale. I probably paid a few dollars for it, and it's a nativity scene fabric Christmas tree skirt and 2 stockings. This was made out of a kit, so someone made this. They made it very well, though. They were very good at it. And it sold for $35.95, and it sold within a week or so of listing, because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get it sold in time for the holiday season. This is a Franklin Library, The Confessions of St. Augustine, and this one sold for $53.95. One beautiful thing about selling a whole bunch more than I'm listing is I'm starting to see the holes appear on my shelvings where I keep all my listed items. So I'm excited to get everything organized. It's feeling possible with every sale I can get out of here. This is an Oneida Stainless Holiday Color Mates flatware. I got this at a yard sale. It was probably $1 or so, and it was $17.95 it sold for. I actually thought it might sell for a little more, so I was kind of surprised. This is Karen Didion Traditional Elf Chocolate Chip Cookie Book, Night Before Christmas, and it sold for $30. These tend to be kind of valuable, some of them. Let me see if I can find the mark of her. So there's what it looks like on the back. And I just looked it up when I was at a rummage sale because it looked interesting, and I think I paid $1 for it. This is an Oscar de la Renta Argyle blue pullover sweater, and it sold for $15.25 on my sale, and I got this from my local source. It took probably 6 months plus to sell, but it's winter, so it finally did. This is Complete Stories Flannery O'Connor, and it's a Franklin Library, and it sold for $53.95. Just again to remind, I have $7 into all of my Franklin Library books. This is a Neiman Marcus miniature mailbox coin bank with a question mark because it was tiny. It was 3.5 inches. I got 2 of these. I just put them as advertising. This sold for $22.45, and it had a little slot. You could only fit maybe like 4 coins in there, but it also, one of them came with a little screwdriver so you could open it and I guess get out your 4 coins after you'd saved them. But it sold. It was cute, and that's why I try to look up everything. I'm willing to list a lot of stuff that others wouldn't, because most people wouldn't have listed that, because let me tell you, there is no sell-through on that item. This is a Franklin Library Plutarch Lives Grecian and Romans. This was a 4-volume set, and it did sell for $180, and it went international, which is great. But then remember, I do have 7 into each of those, so this lot was $28, but that's still a great buy. I am more than happy to pay that to sell something for $180. This was from my manual buy that I had about $1 into everything. This is a 1977 Pontiac product manual, dealer album Firebird Trans Am, and this sold for $145 on a best offer. This was from my big Grateful Dead bear buy that I bought last October. I think I might have 2 or 3 more left, and this one is Sage, and it sold for best offer of $55. This is an antique empty photo album, tin type brown leather brass closures, and this is why I'm trying to focus so hard on my death pile the next couple months, because this was sitting to where I saw it every single day, and I finally listed it, and it sold in a day for $37. So that's why I just need to get stuff listed and stop picking and choosing, list everything, and try. I want to make sure I save stuff for like the winter times, like right now, but I want to do it in an organized way, and I want to just stop picking and choosing out of stuff. This is Polo Ralph Lauren robe flannel loungewear. And I got this at an estate sale, I think for $2, and it sold for a best offer of $23. This is Dansk Designs Thor stainless Finland salad forks. This sold for $35.95. These have probably been listed well over a year now, but that's okay with me. This was not a pattern. I knew when I picked up that pattern it would not sell quickly. This is a Christopher Radko Choo Choo Claws train ornament, and this sold for $35.90, or no, this sold on a best offer of $30. And this came from Facebook Marketplace. I bought a lot of Radko ornaments. This is a Buckles of America Masterpiece Collection Skull Bones Woman Belt Buckle. I sold both of these because I had 2 of them, and both of them sold for $40 to different buyers in different points of the week. But my little naughty risque belt buckles went out. Oops. And then this is a Russ teddy bear plush, and it's Butterball was the name, and that sold for $44.06. This has probably been listed a couple of years. And that is one beautiful thing of this holiday season is I've seen so many old listings go out the door. There's a Stio shirt men's large blue plaid snap front Western pearl snap, and this sold for $26.95 on the sale price. And this is Department 56. This came from my Department 56 buy at the beginning of the year, and this is Twinkle Bright Glitter Factory, and it sold for $49.45. This one has, again, been listed for a long time. You're going to keep hearing that. And this is Ann Taylor Gold Tone Crescent Moon Checkmark Pin Brooch, and this sold for $13.45. This has been listed for quite a while. I got this at an estate sale for $1, though, and it was a Lake Tahoe Rim Trail adjustable hat, and it sold for $26.95. Hats are just one of those things that can take some time to sell, and as you guys know, if you've watched my channel, I don't mind longer tail items. Yes, I want to sell them quick typically, but I don't mind if an item takes a while, as long as it's not massive. This is a Brizzo Odin 24-inch towel bar, and it's a black bathroom. Oh, my dog just brought in, I think, a tree branch. Okay, back to this. And this sold for $55. This is surprising to me because it wasn't what I would particularly call special. But I got 3 of these same ones from my local source here, and so I'll get the other 2 listed now. Here's a Stife. You guys know I love Stife, and this is Zicky. The name is Zicky, and it's a goat and adorable. Sold for $62.95. I got this at a yard sale this summer with another Stife, a Goofy Stife, and I did pay up for them, but I still made good money. I paid $15 on this, and I will say that 3 years ago, I never would have paid $15 for an item. I think Goofy I paid $20 for. I never would have done that, and I'm so glad that I started to pay up this year because it's helped me get some better items. Yes, we all love paying 50 cents, $1, all of that, but I'm willing to pay for good quality inventory because, like I've said, sourcing is not my favorite thing. And if I was able to find local sources, estate cleanout companies, storage unit buyers, all of that, and I was able to find enough to where I didn't have to go and source a bunch on my own and I just had to pay a little more, I would do that in a heartbeat. But that's just not where I'm at yet. And this is a Garfield at 25. In dog years, I'd be dead. And I love Garfield. This was an Easton Press book I got from one of my sources last year. I got a lot of Easton Press books from them, and this sold for $75 on a best offer. It just took, a while to sell, which can happen with some of the Easton Press books that are not as common out there. This is a Preco back alarm. In its vintage, it was new. It sold for $29.66. It was just one of those things I picked up on a whim at a yard sale for a couple bucks, and it probably took 2 years to sell, but it sold. This is over on Depop, and it's a Pendleton men's shirt. It was made in USA, and it was in nice condition, and it sold for $25 on an offer. This is Rustberry Sammy Baby Furs Puppy, and it was $22 it sold for, and it's another Russ. I also have had this listed for probably 3 years, this one. And here's another one that's probably been listed for 2 years, and this is a Jimmy Cool Cat Lion animated plush, and it sang Wild Thing. It was real cute, guys, and it sold for $30 on Poshmark. Then we got my Etsy. My Etsy was on fire last week. I cannot believe how much I've sold on Etsy. I still can't believe I fought so hard not to start it for so long, because think of all those sales I missed out on. But now I am doing it, and I really have enjoyed Etsy. This is a vintage Dakin hugging mice. This is Eenie and Meanie. This sold for $20 over on Etsy, and I have sold a few Dakin. They seem to be popular over there. Here's a couple more plush. This is 1998 Denny's Wishbone dogs. I got both of these at a thrift store for $1 each, and I just put them into a little lot together. They both had their tags, and they sold for $18.95 over on Etsy. Both of those plush that I've just shown you were listed for less on eBay, and both sold for more on Etsy. This is a spotted elephant ornament, Rudolph Island of Misfit Toys. The box was not in pretty condition. I just took a lot of pictures of that, but it did sell for $20 within a day or two of getting it listed onto Etsy. Here's a belt buckle that sold, and it's a Western Flare Peterbilt trucker German silver belt buckle, and it sold for $50. I knew these guys would sell on Etsy. Brass is very popular for me over there if I can get it. And these are brass quail figurines, a lot of 2. So cute. Again, guys, brass I think is going to be one of my things. Just, gosh, they're cute. All right, one of my absolute favorite belt buckles, hands down. Happy as a pig and you know what. And it was from 1995. This thing is delightful. It's a pig sitting in a recliner. I mean, come on. How could you not love this belt buckle? And then finally on Etsy, I had Dune by Frank Herbert sell, and this was a book club edition. And these ones do have gutter codes. I have Y49 as the gutter code, so one thing to keep in mind that will affect the value. And it sold for $120 over on Etsy, and I already got positive feedback on it, which is great. So guys, that is all I have that I'm sharing with you today. I did have a lot that I didn't share, a lot of bread and butter sales, my $15, $20, $10 items, but it just turned out to be a really amazing week. I do think we are at pretty much the end of all the Christmas sales, so I am glad that I got a really good week after coming back from my trip, so I could at least get a little taste of it, and it gives me more motivation to work even harder so that next year can be even better. So guys, I'll see you on the next video.